everyone, welcome. So in today's video, I'm gonna make tamales. I have been doing this ever since I was a little girl. I learned from the best. And so this is just gonna be your basic tamale recipe. I'm gonna give you some of my secrets, but I can't give them all. So today we're gonna do some pork tamales. Now I use this. This thing is amazing. I'm not sponsored. I did a video on my new, this is kind of like a slow cooker. They were really inexpensive when I showed it at the time. I think they brought their prices up a little bit, but still it's worth it. Seriously, you can cook in this and it tastes like you cooked all day, and this will literally only take about 30 minutes for the pork to cook. If you missed that video, me going into detail on it, I'll leave it at the end. I got this on Amazon. It is the best thing. I bought two because it's that good. So we're gonna do pork. I use chilies, and there's a few different ways that other people do this. Some boil them with the chicken broth on the stove and they cook it in that first and then they put it in the meat. I was always taught, so I'm from the Central Valley, California. So everybody, California has some really good Mexican food, especially Central Valley, California. I mean, yes. So this is how I was taught. I use these chilies, so I use a few of these, and then of course some little chili powder, and then we also use these as well. I'll take the seeds out, I'll cut them, I'll take the seeds out, I'll put a little bit of chicken broth in, take all my peppers, and then some of the seasoning, blend it up all together, and then put it in the crock pot or wherever over the pork, and then let it simmer, and then I'll add things here or there to it. But this is kind of how I was always taught. This is like your basic, this is basic, just basic tamales, and are really easy if you've never made tamales. This is kind of like your recipe. It's super good. I have had so many people that are very picky on their tamales, especially people that are from Central Valley, and they're like, nah, your tamale, and then they have my tamales and your tamales are the best I've ever tasted. So like I said, I've learned from the best, and let's go ahead and we'll get into cooking. Okay, so we're gonna take all of our chilies and we're gonna put them in a blender or whatever food processor. This is super simple. I'm kind of when I cook, let me know if you want step by step, like showing you how to do like the bell peppers or the peppers, but it's really easy. You take this and you throw this away. This is gonna be full of seeds, so what I do is I just open it up and I take the seeds out. It's really simple and easy. This is how I was always taught. I'm telling you, I learned from the best, and this is how she taught me. You just take the seeds out. So you don't want any of the seeds. You can kind of cut it up a little bit, but it doesn't really matter. It's all in a food processor. It has tons and tons and tons and tons of seeds. Like there is, as I make a mess trying to share it with you, tons and tons and tons of seeds. All that just needs to be thrown away. You don't want it in here. If you get a few seeds, not that big of a thing. I use chicken broth to blend it up. So you can use chicken broth, beef broth, really it doesn't matter. But I use, I don't know, I eyeball pretty much everything, but I want to say probably like a cup. And then I will do a little bit of the seasoning, and then like I said, I will add into it as it starts to kind of cook together. I will add a little bit in there. I don't know, I just kind of, you guys, I eyeball it. So probably maybe 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons of the pepper. And then what you want to do is you want to blend this all up. And I have a blender over there, so I'm gonna, you guys know how to blend it. I'll be right back. Okay, my friends, it is blended. So you just want to make sure that it looks like a paste. You're basically just making sure that it looks just like that, a paste. So you can add more chilies as you go and a little bit more of the chicken stock until you kind of get this consistency, and then you're good to go. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our pork in the Dutch oven, and then we're gonna pour this on top of it and we're gonna let it cook. I'm gonna add the rest of my chicken stock in there as well, so that it gives me kind of the sauciness, because you're gonna need that. That's one of my little tricks. So you're just gonna make sure that it looks like a paste, and then now we're gonna go ahead and add our pork, and then we're gonna put this on top of it. I'll take you through the steps. Okay, so I'm gonna take my paste. Again, this is kind of what it looks like, and you're just gonna spread it all over the pork. I'll kind of share with you, and then I have to kind of lift the pork up and get the one on the bottom. Now I do this with pork, I do this with like steak, I don't necessarily do chicken, it's mostly pork and like roast is what I usually do. But we want to get in there and just mix the whole paste in there. I used about 2 bags of chilies. So it just depends. If you just had one tiny pork, you'd probably just need 1 bag of chilies, but I always do 2 when I have a bigger roast, or I have 2. I like mine really flavorful. Okay, so let me kind of share with you what it looks like. Okay, so this is what it's gonna look like. Now it's gonna cook up. Usually if you do it in a crock pot, it's gonna take all day. You want it to marinate all day, but when I'm using this, I'm telling you, a half an hour and it tastes like you've been marinating your food all day. A few of you guys purchased this after I had showed it, and you said it was the best thing ever as well. This thing is amazing. So I just add a little bit of chicken stock to the bottom. Just so we have some flavor for the masa. I'll come back to you. Sometimes I add a little bit more spices and stuff, but that's the general right at first. And then once it kind of cooks down a little bit, I'll decide whether I want to add more spices or anything like that. Okay guys, it is completely done. It's boiling, all the goodness. Oh my goodness. So I ended up putting this whole packet in, and then just a little bit more, the rest of basically of the chicken broth, because I like the goodness of the juice. So that's what we're gonna do when we do our masa. It says water. I never do water. A lot of people do chicken broth, but to really give your tamales flavor and just make it so much better, you use the liquid in here for that. So that's going inside the masa. A little bit of lard, not a lot. I don't use a lot, so my tamales are pretty healthy. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna shred the pork up. The best way to shred any of your meat is a good old KitchenAid. I keep saying pressure cooker. It's not a pressure cooker. It's like a Dutch oven slow cooker. It's amazing. So if I keep saying that, because I keep catching myself saying that, and then I'm like, that's not what I meant to say. So I'm gonna go ahead and shred it up, and then we'll go on to the next step. Okay, so the meat is all ready and prepped. I did take a little bit of the sauce, and this is what we're gonna use to put in our mesa. So instead of using water, I like to use the sauce. That's my little secret, one of my little secret tips, because it really does flavor your tamales and it just gives it that little extra kick to it. A lot of people do chicken stock, beef stock as well. So, but I like to do that because it's so much better. It is so much better. Okay, so it doesn't matter really what type of mesa. This was just at my local grocery outlet. So this is the one that we're going to use. This one says 2 cups of the mesa, and then 1 1/4 cups water. Don't do water. Trust me, do the flavoring of the meats and the juices and all that, or do like chicken broth, chicken stock, whatever, any of that stuff is way better. This one doesn't require you to do like lard, and like I said, I don't really use lard in mine, so I try to keep it as healthy as I possibly can. So it just depends on who taught you, their techniques. It just depends where you're from. I don't know if I don't think I'm gonna put lard in mine, and if I do, it's like barely like a tablespoon. So you want to get some corn husks, and what you want to do is you want to have a big bowl, and you want to have it really like warm water. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna take, this is super easy, you're gonna take the corn husks and you are gonna soak them in the water. I sometimes will like separate each one. Sometimes I'll just take the whole thing and put it in the water. It kind of just depends. But you want to soak them in the water, and what I do is I keep them in the water. So it all just depends on who taught you, but I like to just keep them soaked in the water. That way your mesa lays down a little bit better, and it's just, I find it just easier and faster if I just keep it in the water. So that's what we're gonna do. So you just want to soak them in, and like I said, I just leave mine in there. And any corn husks, I mean, it's any of them will do. Now here's a really good trick, and you can get this on Amazon, pretty much anywhere probably where your kitchen appliances are sold, but it is this like big thick, this is like a tortilla press, but I use this for my mesa because it gets the mesa evenly. So that's another thing that I think my tamales are really good, because it's very evenly. So when you get a tamale from me, everything is even. The meat's even, the mesa's nice and thin, and there's no thickness, not one side's thicker than the other. So I use a tortilla press. This is like the best thing. I think I did purchase this off of Amazon, and this is like a hardy tortilla press. And I think it was like $19 or something like that. So really inexpensive. I use this all the time when I make my homemade tortillas and corn tortillas and stuff like that. It's really, really, really handy. So that's what we're gonna do. Now I'm gonna have Mr. Pookie come in, because this process can take a long time, but once you get through it, it's perfectly good. But if you have, 2 people, it's a lot easier to do it. And then once we're finished with the tamales, you have to steam them. That's how you cook them, you steam them. So I'll show you a few tips and a few of my tricks that I do when I steam my tamales. It just depends on how many tamales are in your little steam bucket. So it can take up to, I've had it take up to 45 minutes to 20 minutes. It just depends on how much you put it in and how, all things like how many you have and stuff like that. But it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to mix our mesa. So I'm going to grab another bowl and mix that up. I think I actually will I don't know, I was gonna blend it. You can blend it in your KitchenAid if you want, or you can just blend it yourself. Doesn't really matter. So let me get prepped up to mix the mesa, and then I'll take you along the steps that I do and how to put it together. Really easy. You can add cheese too. Like, there's so many different things that you can do, but we're just gonna do basic. But sometimes I'll add like cheese and just make cheese tamales, or I'll add the meat and then put cheese in there. Sometimes I'll put fresh like veggies and stuff. Oh, you can go so many different ways, but this is just a basic way on how to do tamales. Actually, I think I am gonna do my mixer. So we're gonna take 2 cups of the mesa and put it in our little bowl. Like I said, there's all different types. This is just the instant corn mesa, but there's other ones. I think I just grabbed this one because it was $2.99, and the normal mesa that I got, that I usually get, it was pretty big for, I think it was like $4.99, and I was like, well, I've never used this one before, so I'm like, why not? So I've never used this one, so we shall see. So 2 cups of the mesa. And like I said, this one doesn't require any of like the lard. If you didn't want to use lard, some people use Crisco. It all just depends. I tend to not use it because I believe that it helps it stick together and all the things, but as I make a whole mess right here. But I tend to just not. I don't know why this one literally doesn't say lard on here. So there's about 2 cups right there. So we're going to take 2 cups, and then we're going to, that liquid that I saved, we're going to put that in there. So I always suggest just don't use any water. And this is the best because this is how your mesa is going to get that spice to it, which I really love. Now, if you wanted to use chicken stock, what I would suggest, do chicken stock, and then you can do like chili powder is a really good flavoring chili powder, a few little spices in there to kind of spice up your mesa. But I like to use my liquid because I just think it tastes, trust me, it tastes so good. You get the goodness of the mesa in there, and it's like yummy, and then you get the goodness of the meat and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in my kitchen mixer. I don't think I'm gonna use lard at all this time. I think we'll be perfectly fine. So let's go ahead, we'll mix it up, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I have my helper. So this is what the mesa looks like. And you see it's all a little different because it's got the spices and stuff in there. So I pour everything in there. I added a little bit of chicken stock to it because it wasn't quite enough. So it's perfectly fine like that. I'm not gonna use lard because really you cook it in within like the meat. So there's a little bit of kind of,
well, there's there's rendered fat out of the pork.
Yeah, so I like to try to keep it as healthy as I possibly can, but most people use lard. But this is kind of how
it is tamales.
I do it.
It is tamales.
It is tamales. I mean,
it's supposed to be, it's fine.
But this is, you know, so yes, I'm doing it a little different. So now we're ready to make the tamales. I'll kind of walk you through as like right here as you're watching, and then I'll go ahead and take the camera down. That way you can see better. So you get kind of 2 options of me showing you, so you can kind of get the whole thing. So you're going to take a little bit of your mesa, probably just like a little ball, and we use parchment paper so that it doesn't stick to the contraption. So
you could dust it with,
yeah, you could,
with cornstarch or
all that
whatever
stuff.
The corn mesa, and then just, it's fine.
But we just do parchment paper. So the key is not to smash it super hard, because if you smash it super hard, it's going to get too big and then it's not going to work. So just lightly smash it.
Won't work.
There's like a little finesse with it, but as you can see, like, trial and error, you just kind of have to, and don't get too much of it because it'll be way too big for the corn husk. So this is what it looks like. See, it's nice and smashed. Everything's even.
Just like making a tortilla.
Yeah, it's super easy. And then what I do is I always keep these wet because they're easy to work with. They don't dry out, and then it'll be easier when you're steaming. So you want to fold it. So here it is. What I do is I take this and I lay it on the tortilla or the corn husk, put the corn husk on the mesa, and then I just kind of flip it over like this. And then what we do is we gently take the parchment paper away. And it does a pretty good job. Sometimes it sticks a little bit,
first few times it sticks, and then after
that, you're perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
So it looks like that. I'll show you up close. And then what you want to do is you're going to take a little bit of meat, and you want it juicy. It doesn't matter. Like, get all that goodness in there, and you want to put a little bit of the meat in there. Now, sometimes, like I said, I'll add cheese into it. I'll add fresh bell pepper. It just honestly depends. You can, it's kind of like tamales, I think, are like pizza. You can do so many different things with them.
We've made them fajita style.
Oh yeah, we've done so many different ways. This is just super easy. Anybody can do these. And then I put it in there, and then I'll wrap it up, which is super, super easy. You just roll it, and I'll show you because you can't really see what I'm doing here. And then you tuck the bottom, and then I tend to tuck the front, the top, and then that's how I roll my tamale. And then I'll set it in like a bucket or a little pan, and then I'll do the rest, and then it'll wait to steam. So let me go ahead, I'll put the camera down so you can see a little bit better, but now you kind of got an idea of what's happening up here, and I'll take you down and share with you a little bit closer. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We rolled up our mesa in a ball. He's gonna place it, and then we're just gonna smash it gently. And then that's what it looks like. What I do is I take the husk, the corn husk, and I'll place it right here so that it kind of covers everything. And then I'll press down on it, and then I like to flip it over like so. And then we'll peel back and see how it lays really evenly. It's very evenly. I'll take my meat, and what you want to do is you want to put it in the middle of the mesa like so, just like that. And then you want to roll it. So I turn it to the side towards me. Make sure that this is like all connected, that it's not, and none of the mesa's seeping out of it, because if it does, when you steam it, it's going to be a hot mess. So make sure that everything's covered, because if you don't, like, the mesa will pop out and then it'll be a hot mess. And then what I do is I just, kind of like a burrito, you roll it, and then I'm pushing it like that. You see I made a good edge, there's no mesa spilling out. And then I flip this over like this. You can leave this open, but I tend to kind of try my best to just push it down a little bit. And then I set it like in a bowl or something, and just let it sit there while I prep all the other ones. But that's what it looks like. Like I said, you can have it up. If you have it up, you want to steam it you want this to be set up. So this is going to be at the top. If you steam it flat, you're just going to want to make sure that this is pulled like this every time you layer it, so that your masa doesn't kind of seep out. So there's ways of doing it. I'll share with you as we get there, but that is how you roll your tamale and how it's made. So we're gonna go ahead and keep going. I'll show you again how to do it, and then we'll just keep prepping.
And as far as like production, you get like a few sheets of this out, and then you've got 2 or 3 people working. It doesn't take as long as this normally. It's usually pretty quick. There we go. And then, boop.
So it's nice and even. And then I take my corn husk and place it right here. And then I press on it like so. Then we'll flip it over like that. And see, now it's, well, now I'm like, no, it's not sticking. It's stuck a little bit right there. But
you gotta
that's
pull
okay.
up, not back.
Yeah, well, you know.
You got sloppy.
You know, I got sloppy with it. And then see how that is? Looks like that. And then again, we'll take our meat and we'll place it in the center of everything. And I put a lot of meat in mine too. Some like barely, little bit. No. My tamales are full of flavor and we got meat. So that's what it looks like. We'll turn it and then we'll roll it like a burrito. Like that. And then I'll flip this like this. And that is how I do my tamales. Okay, it's time to steam the tamales. So I have my tamales up here. This is like my little steaming pot. I have boiling water down below. And what you're gonna do is you're going to soak a clean towel. You're gonna get it all wet, and then you're gonna place the towel, you're gonna spread it nice and neat over the tamales, and then place a lid over it. But I think I've been going for about 30 minutes in that. Somehow I forgot to turn the stove on, so.
You did, so. Maybe you've only been going for 20 minutes.
Maybe, something like that. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna check it. I'm gonna show you how to check it. You're gonna make sure that the water is constantly, you wanna check your second pot as well to make sure that the water is, you still have water. That's like really important. So you're gonna lift this and you're gonna get foggy from the steam. And what I do is I just take a fork and because it's super hot, so just take the fork and then you're gonna check it. So what you're wanting to see is this be solid. So as you guys can see, it's kind of solid, but it's not. This is not done. It's still flimsy, but we're getting closer. So probably another 20 minutes, I would say. But do you see how that looks? Like, it's looking pretty good, but it's still a little flimsy. You want it a little bit more solid than that. So I'm just gonna leave that here since this is up on top. And we're gonna go ahead and we are gonna go ahead and we're doing dishes too. This is what, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so it is a busy, everybody's home doing things. So I'm gonna put that on top of it. I'm gonna place the lid on, and then we're gonna wait probably another 30 minutes and it should be good. So I'll come back and I'll share with you what it's supposed to look like when it's done. Okay, my friends, it is done. This is what the tamale looks like when it is finished. I let it cool, because it's seriously, it gets super, super hot, and I lost a nail. The steam has taken over the nails. So, but this is what it looks like. Let me take it out for you. As you guys can see, you see like the little peppers and all the things. This is what makes it look flavorful. And then I will cut it for you. You can see like all the meat in there. And that is what it looks like. You've got all the thick meat in there, and then you've got the peppers and everything. Seriously, you guys, it is so good, so flavorful. Like I said, you don't have to do it my way. This is just like a basic way. You can just do chicken stock, and it'll be like kind of plain tan. But we like a lot of spice. And so the masa is just super, super moist, and it tastes really flavorful. And I do a lot, look at all that, all the meat. I do a lot of, we like flavor, a lot of meat, a lot of flavor, and it is so, so good. Trust me, my kids have been into the tamales already, and they are really, really good. So hopefully this video helped you. But this, seriously, I wish you can take a bite. Super, super good. And yeah, thanks guys. Thanks so much. Thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you want me to do more cooking videos, let me know. But these, seriously, everybody loves these tamales. Hopefully it was really easy for you to understand. Super easy. And they are so, so good. My family absolutely loves them. And they're just perfect. They're great when you freeze them too. And like I said, I make a whole bunch of them and then I freeze them. And then we have tamales for a while. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care, guys. Bye.